Good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to my live plan with me. If you're new here, my name is Jules. My pronouns are he, him, and I am a professional food photographer and stylist, as well as a soon-to-be published cookbook author. And usually, as these things begin, I usually am planning in my Jibun Techo, which is my everyday carry that plans both my business and personal stuff. However, today I'm just going to start very quickly in my Jibun before switching off into finishing setting up my project planner. And I'm very happy that I got the written cover for the Hobonichi, because it's already getting quite marked up and dirty with working in a working kitchen. So before we get to this, I just want to quickly go. Let's start in here. Let's see how everybody is doing. Just say hi. What are you planning in this week? How was your week? How did things go? All that other interesting stuff. So if you have been with me for a while, or you're just like joining, for the month of November, I was trying to figure out how exactly, like, what decorative stuff I wanted to add to my everyday carry. And this week, I'm happy to say that I think I finally found something like to make it both functional and decorative that actually works for me. I wish some of these colors were a little bit more muted, but at least this way I can have a better idea, like I can see things better. It's still perfectly imperfect, but at least I know where I'm spending my time. I'm still tracking my evening hours. Important things that happen, still tracking my energy levels. I'm going to apologize in advance for whatever reason. My cats have decided that nutty hour is not going to end, so they are busy chasing each other in the background, which may cause my dogs to get up and start barking soon, and then we will have the whole entire zoo making a cacophony of noise. So you're just going to have to deal with it, because my animals are uncontrollable today, and normally by this time in the afternoon, they are settled. So yeah, I'm happy with this. I still have to add some more stickers for this week. This week isn't over. I've had some pretty big things happen this week. Piece of legislation that I had been working on not only passed the Senate, but also received royal assent this week, which is probably one of the most important things I will ever do with my life. Was being one of the survivors that helped to end conversion therapy in Canada, which is a big effing deal. And another weird thing that happened this week, because my week can't get even more bizarre, is that a documentary production company reached out to me because they want to spend some time over to 2022, I guess that's the year we're entering. They want to spend some time over the next few months filming me as I am shooting my cookbook, as I'm shooting an upcoming art exhibit. Basically, they want to do a documentary on my work that I do in the space of disability and making food accessible and the decolonization of food. So that was an interesting thing that happened this week that was rather unexpected. But yeah, I'm going to put this away because I don't need to. I have some pre-planning for next week I have to do. especially since I have a on location photo shoot on Tuesday, and it is the last shoot for my exhibit that's taking place in January. But also, starting on December 20th, I have to get back into full mode of cookbook development. So I have to finish setting up my project planner to do that. And so let's get to the cookbook part. I think the first thing I'm going to have to do is, because I still haven't decided what are going to be the final 50 recipes that are going to be in the cookbook. The majority of them have to be things that I have not yet published on my Disabled Kitchen and Garden website, or they have to be edited in a way that makes them different enough from what is on the website. And I think I have, I don't know, I think I have 30 or 35 recipes finalized, or like not finalized in its finished form, but that I've settled on that are going to be in the cookbook. But I'm not sure. We're gonna, let's figure that out right now, how many recipes I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Do I want, yes, 12. I don't know if I want this one. I really do not know. I want to try a Vietnamese hot and sour soup. So I'm going to skip that, because this is a big question mark. So we're going to go to here is a yes. This is a question mark. This is a yes. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. I know this is a lot of counting. We're up to 30. But do I really want to do that many different curries when I could just say, to make a green curry, a yellow curry, you just switch out the curry paste and then you add, there's a couple other ingredients that you swap out. I don't know. But I'm gonna just leave that there just to be safe. 30. Can't wait till I have to redevelop that. 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Do I want brownies though? So here's the thing. There's like some chocolate cakes and some air fryer brownies and some other things that I'm considering developing. But the thing is, air fryer recipes. So the whole point of this cookbook, the working title is Crip Up the Kitchen: Realistic Tips, Tricks, and Recipes for the Disabled Kitchen. And all the recipes that I have developed are recipes that teach a skill, so that it doesn't matter in which culture you grew up. By the time you finish working through this whole entire cookbook, you will have the skills necessary to make your culturally appropriate foods if you are disabled and you can no longer spend hours and hours in the kitchen. It's not only going to help disabled people, but it's also going to help people with limited amount of times, because everything that is made for those of us who are disabled also has the benefit working for people who are able-bodied. And when I'm talking about disability in this cookbook, it's not just physical disabilities, but also mental health challenges, people who are neurodivergent specifically. It deals with people who have ADHD or who are autistic like me, and need things organized in a way that works for neurodivergent brains instead of things that are specific to neurotypical brains. An example is like typically in a kitchen, people get lost who are neurodivergent in the process before the actual cooking, because they're like wandering the house looking for their equipment or whatever, and they will sometimes take like hours just gathering what you need to cook because their brains can't quite make the list. So one of the things that my cookbook is going to be including is at the beginning of every single recipe is going to be the equipment list, so that everything that you need to make the recipe is laid out for you, so you don't have to spend time hunting for whatever. So to get back to why I stopped at the air fryer brownies is because air fryer is not necessarily less labor intensive to use or more convenient than an oven. If you use a wheelchair like I do, an air fryer is easier than an oven only because it is safer to use in a wheelchair than an oven is. You can have it at counter height. You don't have to opening up an oven door, taking things in and out when you're in a wheelchair or have other mobility issues is not a great way of doing it. Even with wall ovens and you're having like that's just the whole how big oven doors are, they're not safe for a variety of mobility issues. But every single recipe has to solve a problem, and it has to be easier to do in some way than using traditional cooking methods. And when it comes to brownies, we all love a good brownie, but really the only difference between an air fryer brownie and a regular brownie cooked in a regular, like a traditional oven, is that with an air fryer brownie, you want to add in the air fryer like a moist or a damp cloth to keep the baked good moist during the air frying process. Otherwise, it dries out and you have like uneven cooking, and the cook time is different. And I can basically solve the air fryer brownie issue by in the part of the cookbook where it says how to use this cookbook, where I talk about how you can convert regular recipes for both an electric pressure cooker or an air fryer or a bread machine. So I'm gonna skip the brownie for a minute. I do have some cake recipes that are like, the after eight chocolates. I don't know if they're ubiquitous around the world, but they're like, I don't know, maybe I'm old, maybe younger people, maybe the Gen Zs of the world don't know about the goodness of after eights. But after eights, turtles, like Turtles the chocolate that is ubiquitous around the winter holidays in Canada. A few other cakes I'm currently developing. They're delicious and really like nice butter cream frosting, icing. Oh, it's gonna be so good. So those are going to go in here as well. So I might skip that. So let's go back to counting. We're at 37. This is a question mark. 38, 39, 40, 41. I'm not doing that. So I'm currently at 41 recipes. There are 9 more that I need to include, but I am in the process of developing many, many more. So this is where we get back to my cookbook planner. And we're going to go here to my recipes. And what I think I want to do, we'll see. We'll do number 1. So ginger, garlic. I really love the way the Uni Jetstream writes compared to my other primary pen, which is a Pilot G2. This one says 0.07, but it's the actual 0.38 pen that's in here. I like the way that the Jetstream writes because I don't hold a pen properly. I'm ambidextrous, and in school growing up, I'm of the age where they would force you to write with your right hand. So I hold my pen with my right hand as if I am a left-handed writer still, which doesn't make sense. And writing is the only thing that I still predominantly do with my right hand over like sports, cooking, eating, everything I'm left-handed except for when it comes to writing. So, but I like the way that the Jetstream writes on any paper, but I like how much darker the gel ink is for the Pilot. So I'm still undecided what is going to be my primary pen. I'm leaning towards this one, and I mean leaning towards my Pilot instead of my Uni Jetstream. But I don't know. We will see where that goes. But yeah, so recipes. I know I'm just gonna number these for now. So we're at 1, 2. See, this is what I mean. 3, 4. Ink is just so much better when it comes to color. 5, 6, 7. But this one writes so much better. Okay, I'm gonna 10, 11. I mean, might be boring, but this is basically how we're planning. This is how I am going to be meeting an absolutely mind-boggling publication schedule that I'm still a little bit overwhelmed that I'm not going to be able to meet all my deadlines that I'm contractually obligated to meet. Here's another thing. So I said it in a previous video that I am really glad that I settled on the Jibun Techo for my everyday carry, because there isn't nearly everything that I need in the Hobonichi for everyday planning, for running my business. A really good example of that is the time right around here. I mean, it's from 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that, all the way through to like 24 hours. But like it only has like 1 line per hour compared to the days. Let's see if I can grab it quickly. No, I don't have it on hand with me. Anyways, there's more room. There's more hourly block room in the Jibun than there is the Techo. But I'm not using these hour block times anyways, so it doesn't make any difference. Eventually, I'm probably going to put some washi here. So let's continue this numbering. What I'm doing, because of my very first priority when it comes to, once I get to my cooking and writing schedule on the 20th of December, I'm allowed to restart on my cookbook, because that's when my grant, my Canada Council grant application, I'm applying for a Canada Council of the Arts grant for the writing, because I have to take like just over 3 months off of my regular work to be able to finish this book in the time that I have been allotted per my publication schedule. So when you apply for a Canada Council grant, you have to put a project start date, and anything that falls before that project start date, you cannot get funding for. Anything afterwards, you can. So I put December 20th as the project start date for my cookbook, and that's basically when I pick up again doing recipe development, doing all the editing that needs to be done, and a few other things. That right now is just planning, and I can plan, and it doesn't interfere with my grant, because planning isn't like actively working on the project. I'm preparing to work on the project. Let me see here. Yeah, so I'm still numbering, and I think I maybe like, I don't know. I'm just gonna go to 50 for now, because what I want to do is start pulling in from my lists of recipes that I have like in development in some fashion. So what did I say where I'm at? I'm at 41, and this 41 is actually like 3 recipes in one. So we're going to start on page 2. Here's the problem. I have like notebooks everywhere. Of things that I'm developing, and I'm trying to pull everything. I don't even know how this do I have my salmon and pear salad in here even? Like that's I'm looking for air fryer, pakora, shortbread, air fryer. Yes, I do. So that's in there. Chocolate cake, which is the base. Chocolate cake is the base for the After 8 cake, the turtles cake, and a few other cakes that I am developing. The rice bowl's in there, the hummus is in there. Pakora, naan. Do I want to include naan, or do I just want to have roti? I have a chapter in here that's called Flatbread is Your Friend, because doing flatbread or a cracker or something with spicy food helps to cut back on the spice. And that's why you always want to have some type of flatbread when you're having a spicy food. And I have a recipe for roti in here, because roti is really, really simple to make. And if you have mobility issues with your hands, like I do, and you can't actually work the dough, because part of making the roti and having it puff up is you have to break down the glutens, and to break down the glutens and all the proteins, you have to knead it. Well, if you have mobility issues with your hands and you can't knead, that is where the bread machine comes in, and you mix everything in the bread machine, and then you use a French pastry roller, which is different than the rolling pins a lot of people in Western societies use. So yeah, the rolling pin, and you just like the least amount of pressure, and it makes the perfect round rotis. But I'm wondering if I also do naan in the air fryer. However, naan is not a flatbread because it uses yeast. And anything that uses yeast, even though naan is flat, is not technically a flatbread because it uses yeast. Oh, this reminds me, do I have it in here though? Air fryer matzah. So, buying matzah meal in Canada is a problem. I have discovered recently. So that is absolutely going in here. Matzo, air fryer matzo. So we can make our own matzo meal. And I mean like the matzo as the cracker, the flatbread, not as in the balls, but so you make your matzo, then you stick it in a blender to make your matzo meal before you make your matzo balls for your matzo ball soup. And so that is absolutely essential. And this is a definite yes. And I can't even read it because this is messy. So that needs to go in there for sure. I've been playing around with tahdig. I love tahdig. I've been wanting to do it in the Instapot. The problem is, so when you're doing a tahdig, you make the rice with the saffron and all the spices and everything and some fruit. And you do it in pot, and then you let it cook to an extent, like you keep the heat on so that the very bottom of the rice forms a crust. And the crust, I mean, you live for that crunchy bit of rice that forms on the bottom of the tahdig. And I've been trying to figure out how we can do this in an Instapot. And I keep playing with it, and the flavors aren't right. Whoops, my chair just rolled away. The flavors aren't right. Doing the crust is really, really difficult, and it's starting to turn into more trouble than it may actually be worth. I think, though, I'm going to try it one more time before I give up on it. Let's see. I'm going to try, because we need a dessert, right? What's a recipe book that doesn't have dessert in it? What else do I need to prioritize? Roasted carrots. These were okay. And the thing is, so here is a question that I have as I'm finishing this cookbook process is I don't have many sides in my cookbook, which is a shortcoming, and people want to have sides in their cookbook. But the problem is, if you know how to do one side recipe, then you know how to do them all, because nothing really changes. So if I do a Middle Eastern roasted carrot salad recipe, then you would be able to know how to do any roasted recipe, carrot recipe, any vegetable, any whatever. I mean, you just need one recipe to learn how to do 20 other recipes. And so I have, like, in my rough ideas for my recipes, I have, like, sides many ways, or it's like things like potatoes and cauliflower. There's a specific way that they make, like, people, like, there's a Middle Eastern variety, there's a Punjab variety, there is different regions there's a North African variety, there's a South African variety, there's a North American variety of the same dish, and the only thing that changes is what seasoning you're going to be adding to that side. So does it really matter that I even have seasoning? I don't know. These are like some fundamental questions that I have when it comes to what are these last recipes that I include in here that yeah, I don't know. So matzah's for sure. Tadig, chocolate cake. I'm bringing out my old work traveler's notebook because I have some notes in here for some recipes that I wanted to develop that are in, like shakshuka, which is a Turkish dish. I was thinking of making in a combination in an Instapot, and shakshuka is kind of like a poached egg, but what you use in it is different. And if you know how to make this and you like poached eggs, then you can make a poached egg. I mean, it has an acid in a water based. It has acid in water to make the eggs form. Yeah, it's basically a poached egg, except for it's a Turkish variety of it. So, like pita. Do I want to include pita? Hummus, I already have that. Falafel. I mean, I know, like, so, Instapot, which is actually going to be called, in the cookbook, we're changing it to electric pressure cooker so that it's not an Instapot branded book. Refried beans. I mean, refried beans. Not refried beans. The refried beans can take hours to cook, and there's a lot of people that like take their refried bean recipe from that they learn at home, and they're like, we gotta cook the beans for 2 hours or something. I hear people do it when you only need to cook them for like 20 minutes because that's the magic of the Instapot. So I have a hummus recipe in there that basically teaches that concept of this is what, when you're doing beans and pulses, and legumes, you don't need to spend hours and hours and hours cooking it. You don't even have to soak your beans and pulses and legumes beforehand with the Instapot. And so, again, this is a thing that's going in my head as I finish the development of this cookbook process is, do we actually need to have 2 recipes that teach the same skill or not? I don't know. And I wish, this is one of the things, I have complete editorial control over the cookbook. I get to decide what goes in there. And these are the types of things where I wish my editor, because normally when you do a cookbook, the editor has a huge say in what goes in the cookbook, what recipes are included, and they guide you in that development process. And I don't have that with this, which, I mean, I don't know. You know what I am going to do for sure, though? I'm going to do air fryer roasted cauliflower. I really don't like this pen. I mean, I like how but my handwriting is so messy with it. And with the air fryer roasted cauliflower, this one I'm thinking specifically with harissa to make it a Middle Eastern version. But this is one of those recipes where it's like, teach one recipe and I can give suggestions to make it. Like, there's a version that is Punjabi. There's a version that is from the Goa region of India. There is a version that's Moroccan. I mean, everyone has a roasted cauliflower dish where you put the whole head of cauliflower in there that's lathered. It's a dry, savory dish. It's not a curry, like a lot of people think, because curry is actually a method of cooking and it's not a flavor or a spice mix. So yeah, let me, for some other, I have soup. I was thinking of doing like White beans, maybe. I need some more beans. I was thinking of doing it was like a fish cake in the air fryer. You use a white fish, it has onions and it has some other seasoning in it, and it is like a Middle Eastern fish cake that you can again extrapolate for your own culturally appropriate food. However, I don't like the way that it turns out in the air fryer. I don't know what it is with the air fryer, and it could be the versions of the air fryers that I'm using. I have some other air fryers that I'm currently getting ready to test. But yeah, I don't know. I do not know what I'm going to include. I have too many ideas I have to pull up. That reminds me. I need to pull up my Microsoft Planner because I have a whole bunch of recipes in there that I have to like in my test kitchen. Oh, so sloppy joes. I mean, I was gonna do that in the air fryer or in the IP. So I mean, who doesn't like a good sloppy joe? Except for, so I'm gonna do some sloppy joes. I mean, it might not stay in the cookbook, but it is a recipe that I still have to develop. What else do I have here in Planner? Foods. I'm doing the whole chicken. I need a dessert bread. So, cardamom bread. It's for the bread machine. Yeah, I need like a tea or coffee bread, a dessert bread. Let's try a lemon loaf as well. And it's one of those things where, I mean, it could be in the bread machine, or maybe we want to do it in the air fryer. What I am thinking that I do is, so I have a recipe that is like the best roast chicken you'll ever have, and it is an oven recipe, but you can also do it in the air fryer, or not in the air fryer, in the Instapot, and you wouldn't be able to eat the skin because the skin's not crispy. But if you have like a Ninja Foodie or the Instapot with the air fryer lid, once it's done cooking, you can throw the lid on top of it, air fry it for like 10-15 minutes to crisp up the skin, and you're good, and you call it done. And there's another way you can do this recipe. Everything's the same except for the cooking method. And then if you have like an oven air fryer that has the rotisserie, you can make the perfect rotisserie chicken that's self-basting using the same recipe. And so that's kind of the idea that I have with like these bread recipes. Okay, they're meant for the bread machine, but if you don't have a bread machine, and you're mixing it by hand in the bowl or whatever, well, you could also do it in your Instapot. Oh my God, if you've never done a cake in the Instapot, you do not know what you're missing. They're moist. They are a little bit heavier because they do retain so much of their moisture, but they're so good. So yeah, I have a handful of recipes that I've developed that with a few tweaks, you can cook them in whatever appliance you have. So I need to choose. I don't need like a lemon loaf or I don't need multiple loaves. I need to pick one out of the ones that I'm currently developing to put in the final book, and that is the an orange cinnamon is another one that I have that I do. So I need to pick loaf. I need to pick. I really do not like this pen. I don't like how skinny it is. My handwriting, it makes my handwriting really messy. I don't know. But I talking about like the ink and the saturation. But I love how it writes. It's like so nice and smooth. Refried beans, I already have on there. Sorry, I'm just looking. Dal makhani, I think I already have makhani. I think I already have it on here. So this is another problem that happened over the last year or so. I switched from doing everything in a paper planner to doing a mix of online Microsoft planning and paper and pen planning. And now I have like multiple lists everywhere and it's not organized. And now I'm trying to reorganize everything into one spot instead of having like sheets of paper and stuff strewn all over the place to get this cookbook done and out the door and to the publisher in the time that I said I would get it done. So yeah, I'm looking for that recipe, and it should be an easy recipe. I should have an exclamation point in front of it because it's not. Yes, there we go. Okay. Rice dish is the best mashed potatoes ever. Yes, that needs to be in there. And again, it's one of those things that if you know how to make these mashed potatoes, you will be able to make any mashed potatoes the best by just substituting what I love to put in my mashed potatoes with whatever savories you like to put in your mashed potatoes. Yeah, I got the matzah already. I bet I spelt it wrong because I'm a doofus. Matzah, carrots, potatoes and cauliflower, chunky fries. Do we want chunky fries? Air fries? Not 51 recipes. I don't know, you guys, friends. Like, I need help here. Do I want? Actually, I think 52. The problem is, cod or halibut or any fish really. The problem, like, you need a fish recipe in the cookbook only to know that fish is very finicky in Instant Pot. It's easy to do, but seafood has one of these things where it's like you're either going to undercook it or overcook it, and like there's this fine line. And if you do not like press stop, like there's some fish that you just bring to pressure, and once it comes to pressure, then you press cancel and you do a quick release because your food cooks as it's coming to pressure, and it cooks as the pressure, like it's coming out of pressure as the pressure is releasing. So a lot of people think like that cook time is like why chicken, if it's cut up into smaller cubes, only takes 5 minutes because it has like that 10 minutes coming to pressure that it's cooking, and then the other 10 minutes when when the pressure is naturally releasing that it's cooking, and then that's that 5 minutes under pressure that that scientific, there's like chemistry that happens where why you don't have to pre-brown your meat. Is because the Maillard reaction happens while it's under pressure. Even though your meat doesn't brown, it breaks down those sugars and creates the flavoring of browning your meat while it's under pressure, because science and chemistry is amazing. So yeah, I think these are going to be my priorities. I have to, oh wait, no, do I have the soup in here even? I just finished developing an air fryer soup, and I'm not even sure I have it in here because, let me find the exclamation points. It's an air fryer and Instant Pot soup, and no, I don't have it in here. It's a winter squash soup. So 53, Thai winter squash soup. And they have to make it eventually into this cookbook. Like, that's the problem. 50 recipes for this cookbook. Oh, I have 41-ish done. Okay, let's go back to my priorities. So my number one, where are we? Let's go to the cookbook. My number one priority is to finish recipe development. I mean, that is the number one thing that I have to do, is finish developing those recipes. And then what I wanted to do, I mean, there's a problem. So we have this block. I want to try something here, because instead of, and then we have this block. Just bear with me for a second as I color these up, because I have to do this in chunks and I don't want to take up the whole list. I'm going to see if this makes any sense here. Whoops. How many blocks do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And how many recipes do I have left to develop? $11. So let's keep doing this, but I want to switch colors. Nine, 10, 11. So what are all you all working on today? Do you have any big projects coming up for 2021 or 2022? Sorry, that's the year we're getting to. Can we believe it's 2022 already? I can't. I really cannot. Off camera at some point or sometime during this week, I have to have a huge in Microsoft Planner, which is like Trello, but it has more tasks, like more functionality than just Trello, and it ties in. If you have a Microsoft Business account, it ties in with all the Microsoft Business tools, including email and to-do lists and everything. I have a punch list of things I have to do, like finalize, my number one priority, and let's just put that in there right now. So I'm going to start off, let's do, I want to like have a checkbox for when things are done, so I can check off the box. So, whoops. My first priority is to finalize recipe list. And I really cannot do that until I finalize or until I finish like the development process. And then I already know that next I'm going to want to use like alternating color. I'm going to need to separate things out. So this is just so that when I have these lists running, I'll be able to see the tasks separately by highlighting every other thing on the list. And I find it doesn't matter which highlighters or pens I use. If I do not highlight before I write, then the pen smears. And it doesn't matter if I even let the ink dry for a day. I have not been able to find an ink, despite everybody's insistence that the mild liners, you can highlight over any pen with them. I have not found this to be the actual reality. So if there is something, like some trick to doing that I have not yet figured out, if you could let me know, either in the comments of this video, in the chat right now, that would be really, really awesome. What is your trick to being able to highlight over your pen in either your Hobonichi or in your Jibun? What are you doing so that it doesn't smear? Because I really need to I need to figure that out for absolutely realsies here. So I gotta finalize my recipe list, and that then to do for my Instapot recipes, which again, let's go back here to my recipe list, and then I'm gonna backfill some of this. So air fryer matzo, I can do that this week, or not this week, but the week after. So air fryer recipes. The first one I need to do is wait a minute, let me go back. Sorry, I'm trying to project plan and think at the same time and talk. Yeah, matzo. And again, we're talking about the flatbread, the cracker, and not the meal or anything. Because as I was saying beforehand, and I don't even actually think I finished that thought, I have not been able to find matzo meal on Amazon for a reasonable price. And normally for those of us who live in food deserts of like areas where it's really difficult to purchase culturally appropriate foods, we can find them in Canada on Amazon. And matzo is one of those things. Matzo meal is one of those things. Like even matzo crackers themselves that you can buy in like a lot of people can get if they live in a city center, are able to buy. I have not been able to find matzo crackers or matzo meal anywhere online or in local stores. So if I'm having that problem, and I don't really even live anywhere super rural, I live in Duncan, BC, which is like 45 minutes north of Victoria, 30 minutes south of Nanaimo. We have a sizable population in the Cowichan Valley, something like 80,000 people. And some may think that's really, really small, but if you knew Canada, it's not, and I can't find matzo. So it's one of those things where absolutely, if I'm having that issue, then other people who need matzo as part of their culturally appropriate foods is going to need to know how to make that in a way that is easy so they can do all the other things, especially for Passover, that rely on unleavened bread. And I suppose if someone really wanted to, they could do like a roti or some other type of unleavened bread and skip the part in the roti where you puff it up because it doesn't use yeast. I mean, it's basically roti and matzah and a few other unleavened breads. They're all basically the same thing. It's flour and water and salt, and you put it together, and some of it you like cook until it's dry like a cracker and then put it in your blender to make a meal. Other, you roll it out and then you fry it on both sides in oil, and then you put it over like the heat to puff it up so that it like, it's really important to do the puff part in the roti, so that, because roti is also used as a utensil when eating Indian food. So you cannot miss the puffing part if you want to be able to rip off your roti to be able to make the perfect spoon or other utensil with your roti. So, but matzo, it's absolutely, that's going to be a #1 priority. And so my matzo gets this color for when that's done. And once the matzo's done, okay, I can actually do that soon. Where are we? I really should be, I'm going to take this board, actually. Or, yeah, I'm going to use the board. It's easier at this moment in time. Let's go back to, okay. Tadig, I'm still not sure if I am going to include that or not. I'm going to concentrate on air fryer recipes, I think, right now. So my next air fryer recipe, I have too many highlighters here and too many pens, and I keep losing stuff. So let's actually, so that's my next thing. I'm going to work on the chocolate. Oh, that's the wet cake. Seriously? Huh, I'm not a fan of that, that's for sure. So the chalk cake, and I accidentally did a boo-boo by not leaving a room here for me to do this. So when it's done, it's color-coded. So what else do I have to develop coming up? Roasted cauliflower. So roasted. Okay, well, is this already, have I already used this to death? Nope, just didn't want to write on the page because I got the ink wet. Roasted. Cauliflower. And that will get this. No, is that the right color? Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Oh my goodness, I have too many colors happening here. And then what else do I have to do? That's an air fryer recipe to develop. My Goan cod. I think I do that in a mix of air fryer and Instapot. I am not quite. Oh, the Thai winter soup. That's done-ish. I do need to test it again. I have another non-Instapot branded oven air fryer that's arriving. So I have to still test that. I thought I was done testing a lot of these recipes. That's another thing I have to do. I mean, this is like the to-do air fryer recipes. This is all stuff that I still have to develop. On these next pages, I have to re-cook and retest every single recipe for other non-Instapot branded air fryers and electric pressure cookers, because it can't be in the Instapot branded book. But right now, we're just concentrating on recipe development. That is my #1 priority. So roasted cauliflower. Let's see, do this to, wait for that to dry, go back here. In the Thai winter, that's an air fryer and Instapot, and I didn't do a column for something that's both. Oy, how do I do that? Well, that is a pickle. Do I make another column? I'm going to have to think on that one for a minute. I'm going to give the, make sure I'm spelling this correctly. I'm going to give the Tadig one more shot. See if I can get that done correctly. Vask Tech, Patricia Kennedy. Do you mind expanding on that? It seems a little bit. I'm not quite sure what you're responding to. And by the way, hi Patricia. It's nice to have you here. What is your comment in regards to, if you don't mind elaborating, because I'm not quite sure what is meant by Vast Tech. I mean, I could Google it right now. When I was talking about different branded things? Maybe, perhaps. Where did I put my phone? Do you do this all when you're planning? I wish I could. So I use my my Canon, my full frame, like my actual camera that I use for photography when I'm shooting. So it's not like I can, like, without playing with my whole entire setup here, I can't like zoom out so you can see the chaos around everywhere. Because I am a very super organized person, and it's one of those things where oh, what's it called? My brain just fell out of my head. So creatives, especially those of us who are neurodivergent, and it's not just an ADHD thing, but it's also, oh, it's a spam bot, Patricia. It's a spam bot. Interesting. I'm very organized. I get things done how I need to get things done. But when I'm planning, when I'm creating, my work area becomes uncontrollable. And I cannot find anything when I need it because it gets buried in piles of pens and papers and planners and all of that other stuff. So I just wonder. I need to figure out how to color code this. So that's 1, 2, 3. More brown, brown. Let's go back to brown then for the Teague. I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then once I am finished with these, then I can cross them, like put an X through here. And so this is like an index of these things. I think that will work. So let's go back to, gotta do a mild liner here. What is next? Oh yes, refried beans. Oh, yes. Let's do that next. I've been meaning to finalize this recipe forever. I also need to look in. I have a bunch of recipes that I wrote up that I still haven't typed up. I mean, like, first I have to finalize my recipe list and finish developing these recipes before I add them to here. But everything is just so disorganized at the moment. Trying to reorganize things that I have right now, multiple planners in the project planner in a way that makes sense in one go is make it so that it all makes sense. And I just got a whole bunch of emergency notifications, because we had another winter storm. And so we've had more flooding here. And so my phone is going off. And not just here in where I live, in the regional district in which I live, but all over the province. There's just this, I mean, we can't catch a break in BC. It's been one natural disaster after another. And trying to keep, I don't want to say positive, because there is such thing as toxic positivity, but trying to continue in a forward motion while also making room to be sad, to mourn, to grieve, to have all those moments of what the ever loving F is going on. I mean, it's a lot happening right now. One of the reasons why my cookbook is being rushed by the publisher is the sooner that we can get this out. Like, I have a whole entire chapter in my cookbook on how to use cooking to cope. If you're having a moment of anxiety, doesn't matter what is the underlying cause of the anxiety, whether it's because of ADHD or autism or post-traumatic stress or just generalized anxiety disorder, and something happens that triggers an anxious episode, I have a whole chapter on how to use the cookbook as a grounding exercise to work through that anxiety and honor it and breathe through it and move forward. But it's just one of those things that has been extremely difficult recently, at least for me, is moving forward and making room to celebrate all the big wins that I've been having, like this cookbook deal. Like, now people wanting to do a documentary on my work around disability and food and art, which is mind-boggling to me, to being one of the people who was instrumental in banning conversion therapy in Canada. So making moments to praise and celebrate all those things, while also being completely overwhelmed, as, I mean, I live in an area that has been heavily impacted by drought, by the flooding, by the heat, by the opioid crisis, by COVID, all of that stuff. And it's heavy. I mean, a lot of businesses here, especially like the farm businesses, the food production businesses, the things that have keeping us fed, we've barely been able to keep our doors open this past year. A lot of restaurants around BC had to close their doors during COVID, and then they never reopened. That really hasn't been, I mean, we've had a couple restaurants where that's happened in the Cowichan Valley, but we're trying really hard here, all businesses, to create a circular economy so that when things happen, like a pandemic, our economy is self-sustaining. So we've been very good about supporting each other as business communities and as regular, like as a community of people who help each other out during everything that's happened in this last year. But it's still been really, really difficult. I mean, there's been no budgets for anything extra outside of like just paying your employees to keep them on. Because like a lot of people, minimum wage is rare to have a minimum wage job where I live. Except for if you're working for something like McDonald's or some other fast food place, then but the small businesses that keep our economy running here in the Cowichan Valley. I mean, we do our best to pay people a living wage when possible, and people are willing to pay. Where I live, people are willing to pay just that little bit of extra for things if it means people are getting paid a living wage, and all that other good stuff. So, but it's still been hard, and so it's making room for the good and the highs and the lows and all the other stuff going on. It's okay. This is a real downside. This is the second time now that I've been trying to write on the mild liner. Well, it hasn't completely dried with the uni jet stream, and it doesn't want to write on it. I don't have that problem with my Pilot gel pen. It just writes no matter what I want to write it on. So, I mean, yeah, I think that makes that makes the decision for me about whether or not I'm going to go out of my way to buy things on jet pens in America, to continue using the multi-pen as opposed to having multiple, now I can't even find what I did with it, multiple, what are they called? Pilot G2s. I really like the G2 ink, and I can't even find my Pilot G2 right now. Because of course I can't, because I have too many pens around me at the moment, and it's probably blending into something else. Anyways, yeah, it's a problem that I cannot write on I have to wait for the mild liner to dry. It's also a problem that it takes what I'm about to say is probably really, really blasphemous, because everybody seems to love their Tomoe river paper, and they're really sad that it might be no longer. But I'm going to tell you, I much prefer the paper that's in the Jibun Techo over the Tomoe river paper. Not only for the way that it feels, but the way how quickly I find like it takes much longer for mild liners to dry on this paper. It takes longer for my gel ink to dry on this paper, and I know everyone like different strokes for different folks. I'm just saying what works for me personally is, I mean, this is going to be the Hobonichi is going to be great and wonderful as a project planner, but for something that is like everyday carry or everyday use, it's not the planner for me. And I thought, because I have been in the Travelers for so long, I mean, let's see if I can make this look like it's, Midori. I mean, like, that's how long I've been in the Travelers. Is like, these are the Midori ones. That, like, I thought I was going to miss the Travelers. I'm not. I'm actually really looking forward to when this Days Free is done and 2022 begins, and the second part of my Jibun Techo is the Jibun Days, because I love everything about the Jibun. I mean, the size could be a bit bigger. I wish the size wasn't a slim and was a full A5. But the paper, I prefer the paper. I prefer everything about Jibun over the other Japanese planners. And all that said, it doesn't matter which Japanese stationery. I mean, it could even, it's not just a thing that is true of Japanese stationery. Japanese, or like non-North American planners, the paper, everything is far superior to the stuff that gets produced in North America. I mean, everyone's like, oh, this has like 100 weight paper or 120 weight paper or whatever, and I hate that. I don't like thick, heavy paper. I much prefer lots more paper and a lighter planner than, so, I mean, I haven't even put everything in here yet. It's nowhere near its use. I've just begun just like adding like the indexes, and it's already starting to get starting to get chunky. It's going to get a lot more chunkier by the time it's done. Can you imagine if this were in, there's my the pen that I was looking for. Can you imagine if this was in, okay, again, this is a personal preference thing, and what I'm about to say is not a knock to the Happy Planner. It's just the first planner that popped into my head that, I mean, I can see the appeal of the Happy Planner because it has so many different inserts it can pull in and out. It's very flexible. Like, one of the things I love the best about the Travelers and using Travelers notebooks is that, like, I could have multiple notebooks inside a single cover, and each notebook served a different purpose. And I could keep things compartmentalized and pull things out and put things in as I needed it. And there's like a line through my screen. That's weird. So that's like a benefit of the Happy Planner, is you can kind of do something like this with the Happy Planner. But the downside with the Happy Planner for me, in how I like to use things and how I like to use washi and stickers, and not just have it completely functional. It's a functional planner with decorative elements. Using something with a heavier weight paper, then it just becomes it would become unmanageable for me, and I wouldn't be able to keep a full year or 6 months in one book. I'd only be able to use like my book for 3 months at a time, and I need to be able to use a book that is at least 6 months of pre-planning for it to be functional for me. Otherwise, it loses its functionality completely. So that is, again, a reason why I do the Japanese papers and planner systems over North American, is because there is more room for, you can add more things to it. You can carry 6 months at a time without it being unwieldy and without it becoming unmanageable. So I got that there. Cake, refried beans, cauliflower, that is done. Let's do the cardamom bread. Oh, you know what is even more important than that one? And crap. Oh no, that's fine, I guess. Shoot. No, it's not. See, this is what I don't understand about this. Like, unless I've covered over it. But I'm pretty sure I haven't. Like, unless 6 starts there. I don't know. The times where the start doesn't make sense to me either. I guess 6 o'clock starts there, and that's like the whole section. And I've been doing it wrong over here where I have like the time in the middle. I don't know. There are certain things about the lines in the Hobonichi that don't quite make any sense to me. So 1, 2, 3, 4. and then I gotta do roadie. Roadie is a priority. But now I don't have everything lining up. Which is fine. I only need one line for the roadie. I gotta wait for this to dry. Oh, sorry. Focus. I'm switching pens. I don't want to wait for things to dry. And now I have like fingerprints over here. Like, yeah, that's a problem. I can't touch. I cannot touch the highlighter without and then touching the paper without getting fingerprints afterwards. So I really, okay, this is not me being facetious or yucking on your yum. But I was actually really looking forward to, because I've never had a planner with Tomoe River paper before, and everybody kept going on about it in the planner community and how great it is. And I mean, I know I've only had my Hobonichi for a couple days now, but I am not seeing, the, it doesn't have that wow factor to me. It just takes longer for stuff to dry. And when I'm planning, I cannot be waiting. I mean, I can't be sitting here and being like, let me twiddle my thumbs while things dry. So 1, 2, 3. Let's do this as a 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do I have anything else that's air fryer in here that chocolate cake, yep. Roasted cauliflower, yep. Bread, lemon loaf, orange, potatoes. That's Instant Pot. Okay, no, so we're going back to this brown. And this color. This is 8, 9, 9. So with recipe development, and then the next thing, and this is where it's going to be. So we have recipe development, and then we're going to go back to here, the recipes. I have to refinish. So I have to pick on my 50 recipes that I want to include in the final. And then the next phase is I'm going to be retesting every single recipe. So I have to list out every single recipe here again and number them. And then in here, it's going to be recipe retest, and then a box for every single recipe I have to retest, and then numbered. And as I retest them, they will get crossed off. Oh my goodness. I need, so cardamom bread, roti. What's my next bread I need to do? Lemon loaf. Lemon loaf. I really just like these pens so much more. I mean, my handwriting looks better. It's not like I'm changing the way I'm writing. It's just, I really think the Pilot pen, even though it doesn't write like it's scratchy because of how I use it when I'm comparing it to the Uni Jetstream, but I think for me, it is just the pen for me. And there's no other way of putting it, I suppose. don't know why I did that again. Oh well. Lemon loaf is 10. And that means I feel like I'm missing one. These are for like 2 develop. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. Gone cod. Do I really want to do that is the question. Or do I want to do another, you know what, I don't even know though what device it's for. I'm gonna leave that for now. And my back is starting to hurt here, and I haven't really got all that much done for my planning. I mean, I got some stuff done where I have enough to do for the week of the 20th. It'll be fine. I mean, so let's just set that up right now. Let's go to December. So the week of the 20th, I mean, let's do this. Let me go back to here. So matzah. It's gonna be the first thing. The matzah is actually going to be easy. I mean, actually, I could develop 2 things on that day. Oh, can you imagine a day that I get to both make a chocolate cake and matzah at the same time? Isn't that going to be amazing? So I'm going to do my chocolate cake again on the 20th. And then, so that means I have to get my, start planning that out. Not for the sketches, but for my shopping list. So that I can make sure that I have everything that I need for that. So, anyways, I guess I got some of my cookbook more planned out. I'm going to have to sit a lot with this over the next week or so to really get this filled in, and hopefully by next week's live plan with me, my project planner isn't going to be so empty, and you'll be able to get more of a sense of what it's like to have to plan finishing the development and writing process of a cookbook. So that's it for me this week. I have normally, like every single week, I have like an hour and a half on my battery life before it dies. So I hope maybe you maybe not so much learned about the cookbook process, because that probably might like bore you to tears and you really don't care. But I'm hoping that by walking you through this planning stage of this book, you might be able to pick up on or figure out some ways that you can incorporate this type of project planning into your own functional planning, in a way that can be both decorative. Like, I can't wait till I can add stickers and stuff to this too. So a thing that I have to shoot this week before my next live plan with me is my for real 2022 planner thing, because not only now do I have, I mean, I thought I was just going to be using the Jibun Techo and that's all I would need, but it turns out no. So I have my Jibun Techo for 2022. I have my Hobonichi for 2022. I have my Passport traveler's notebook for medical related stuff for 2022. And then I found, I know what I'm using this beautiful thing. I know, and I have to tell you all about this. That's also going to be used in 2022, as well as my 5-year journal and my Animal Crossing like game journal. So I have to shoot that this coming week, is my for real 2022 planner and journal set up. And then I will be again live next week. I'm taking Christmas Day off from Live Plan with Me. But otherwise, I will hope to see you all next week. Thanks for stopping by. Until my next video, stay safe, stay warm, take moments to feel your feelings, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.